Royal Rumble was the 21st annual Royal Rumble professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by World Wrestling Entertainment. It took place on January 27, 2008, at Madison Square Garden in New York, and featured talent from the Raw, SmackDown and ECW brands. The event was also the first WWE pay-per-view broadcast in high definition. As has been customary since 1993, the Royal Rumble match winner received a match at that year's WrestleMania, for his choice at either the WWE Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, or the ECW World Championship. 5 professional wrestling matches were featured on the event's supercard, a scheduling of more than one main event. The main event was the annual 30-man Royal Rumble match, which featured wrestlers from all 3 brands. John Cena, the 30th entrant, won the match by last eliminating Triple H, the 29th entrant. The primary match on the Raw brand was Randy Orton vs Jeff Hardy for the WWE Championship, which Orton won by pinfall after performing an RKO. The primary match on the SmackDown brand was Edge vs Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship, which Edge won by pinfall after spearing Mysterio in mid-air. The featured matches on the undercard were Montel Vontavious Porter vs Ric Flair in a career-threatening match and John Bradshaw Layfield vs Chris Jericho. Background: Royal Rumble featured professional wrestling matches that involved different wrestlers from pre-existing scripted feuds, plots, and storylines that were played out on Raw, SmackDown, and ECW on Sci-Fi World Wrestling Entertainment's primary television programs. Wrestlers portrayed a villain or a hero as they followed a series of events that built tension, and culminated into a wrestling match or series of matches. The event featured wrestlers from WWE's Raw, SmackDown, and ECW brands, a storyline division in which WWE employees were assigned to a television program of the same name. The main feud on the Raw brand was between the Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, with the two feuding over the WWE Championship, which was held by Orton. Orton retained the title at Armageddon against the returning Chris Jericho after being disqualified, when the then SmackDown broadcaster John Bradshaw Layfield ran in, and booted Jericho in the head. Orton retained the championship, as a result, due to titles not changing hands on disqualifications. On the same night earlier, Jeff Hardy had defeated Triple H to earn the opportunity to face Orton at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. The following night, on the December 17, 2007 edition of Raw, Hardy teamed up with Shawn Michaels to take on Orton and Mr. Kennedy. Hardy gained advantage over Orton, and pinned the champion after a swanton bomb to earn the victory for himself and Michaels. 2 weeks later, on the last Raw of 2007, Hardy and Orton met face-to-face in an in-ring segment. Orton looked set to KO Hardy, but Hardy countered, and delivered the twist of fate to Orton. Later in the night, Hardy looked set to defeat Santino Marella, until Orton appeared on the Raw Titantron and stated that he had kicked Jeff's brother Matt where his appendix used to be, proceeding further to punt him in the head. The following week on a special Raw Roulette edition of Raw, Hardy defended his Intercontinental Championship against Umaga in a steel cage match. Hardy managed to overcome the odds in the cage, jumping off the top of the cage onto Umaga and hitting a Whisper in the Wind to defeat Umaga. On the January 14, 2008 edition of Raw, Hardy agreed to face Orton that night with his Intercontinental Championship on the line. However, as soon as the bell rang for the match, Orton immediately low-blowed Hardy, getting himself disqualified. Orton tried to deliver an RKO to Hardy on the concrete floor outside that he had exposed by removing the black floor padding, but Hardy retaliated and the two began to brawl up the ramp. When Orton looked set to kick Hardy in the head, the Intercontinental Champion countered and backdropped Orton onto the arena floor below. Hardy then climbed 30 feet above on the Raw set, and then swanton bombed off the side of the set onto Orton below. The following week on Raw, Hardy and Orton were scheduled to shake hands, but Hardy instead shook the hands of people he respected more than Orton, like Lillian Garcia, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, and several fans in the crowd before re-entering the ring to confront Orton. A frustrated Orton ordered Hardy to shake hands with him, but Hardy performed a twist of fate on the WWE Champion instead. The main feud on the SmackDown brand was between Rey Mysterio and Edge, with the two feuding over the latter's World Heavyweight Championship. Mysterio won a Beat the Clock challenge on the January 4, 2008 edition of SmackDown, defeating Edge with 90 seconds to go, and securing an opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble. The rivalry between Chris Jericho and John Bradshaw Layfield started in Jericho's WWE Championship match against the defending champion, Randy Orton, at Armageddon. During the match, Orton whipped Jericho over the SmackDown announce table straight into JBL. As Jericho tried to get up, he ended up nudging JBL out of his way. Later in the match, Jericho had Orton trapped in the walls of Jericho, when JBL stormed into the ring and gave a kick to Jericho's face, thus giving the win to Jericho, but via disqualification, and hence, Jericho did not win the WWE Championship. This led to an argument the next night on Raw, where Jericho, who was angry about not becoming the new WWE Champion, ended up stating to JBL, who confronted Y2J via satellite from the Raw Titantron, that "John, you are no longer a wrestling god, you're a wrestling afterthought." Afterward, JBL gave his farewell address as SmackDown color commentator on the December 21, 2007 airing of Friday Night SmackDown, and announced his return as an active wrestler on Raw. When JBL made his return to Raw on December 31, entering in his personal limousine with balloons and confetti shooting from the ceiling, and proceeded to address the crowd, Jericho quickly interrupted his promo and the two got engaged in a brawl along the barricade. The following week, Jericho was put into a handicap match against Snitsky and JBL. The match started with Snitsky and Jericho in the ring, but, soon after Jericho hit a springboard dropkick on Snitsky, JBL came into the ring and attacked Jericho from behind. JBL got the better of this confrontation as he hit Jericho on the head with a ring bell and tied a cable wire around his neck. JBL then dragged Jericho, by the wire, from near the ring to the Raw set, where he assaulted him some more. Jericho suffered from a bruised larynx, burns around his neck, and had difficulty speaking for a week. Prior to the annual Royal Rumble match, several qualifying matches for the match took place on Raw. The first qualifying match was on the December 31, 2007 edition of Raw, as Umaga quickly defeated Jim Duggan to earn a place in the Rumble. Snitsky also defeated Drew McIntyre at a house show in White Plains, New York, to also qualify for the Royal Rumble. Triple H failed to beat Ric Flair. Therefore he was no longer allowed to compete in the Royal Rumble match, per the order of Raw General Manager William Regal. After Triple H destroyed part of the lower Titantron on the January 14 Raw, however, Vince McMahon announced he would allow Triple H a second chance at the Royal Rumble if he could defeat his opponent on the January 21 edition of Raw. The game defeated Snitsky, Mark Henry, and William Regal in a gauntlet match to gain entry. Royal Rumble qualification matches. Umaga defeated Jim Duggan a Raw, December 29. Snitsky defeated Drew McIntyre a Raw house show, January 4. Hardcore Holly defeated Trevor Murdoch a Raw house show, January 5. John Morrison and The Miz defeated Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore a SmackDown ECW house show, January 6. Hornswoggle and Mick Foley defeated the Highlanders a Raw, January 7. Jamie Noble defeated Chuck Palumbo a SmackDown, January 8. Cody Rhodes defeated William Regal a Raw house show, January 11. Carlito and Santino Marella defeated D.H. Smith and Super Crazy in a tag team match at a Raw house show, January 12. Shawn Michaels defeated Trevor Murdoch a Raw, January 14. Triple H defeated Snitsky, Mark Henry, and William Regal in an over-the-top rope gauntlet match a Raw, January 21. CM Punk defeated Chavo Guerrero a WWE Super Show, January 26. Event. Before the event went live on pay-per-view, Shannon Moore and Jimmy Wang Yang defeated Deuce and Domino in a dark match. The first match that aired was a non-title career-threatening match between the WWE United States Champion Montel Vontavious Porter and Ric Flair, in which had Flair lost, he would have had to retire from wrestling. At the start of the match, Flair started out working on MVP's left arm. Flair attempted to get the figure-4 leg lock on MVP, but MVP turned it into a small package for a 2 count. MVP knocked out Flair with a running big boot in the corner and went for a pin, but Flair managed to get his foot on the rope just in time when the referee Charles Robinson counted to 3. After the 3 count, the referee did not call for the bell as he had noticed Flair's leg on the bottom rope and restarted the match. The match ended when MVP tried going for the playmaker, but Flair countered the attempt into the figure-4 leg lock, to which MVP eventually tapped out. Hence, Flair won and kept his career alive. The second match was between John Bradshaw Layfield and Chris Jericho. The match began with Jericho trapping Layfield in the walls of Jericho. JBL got to the ropes, however, and slid out of the ring with Jericho quickly following him. JBL strangled Jericho with the ring ropes and later, plunged him onto the ropes. Jericho recovered and clotheslined JBL out of the ring. When they got in again, JBL threw Jericho into the ring post, as a result of which, Jericho was busted open. JBL tried to take advantage of this situation, but Jericho still fought back. The fight went outside the ring, where JBL began clearing the ECW announce table. Jericho grabbed a steel chair and hit Layfield with it. The referee immediately disqualified Jericho, who ignored the fact that he had lost the match and started to strangle JBL with some wires by the ring, in the same process Layfield did to Jericho on Raw. The third match was for the World Heavyweight Championship with champion, Edge taking on Rey Mysterio. During the match, Vicky Guerrero stood up from her wheelchair, attempting to comfort Edge. Mysterio had Edge set up for the 619, and Vicky jumped in the way, risking herself. Edge then recovered, and speared Mysterio for the pinfall. The fourth match was between the Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton for the latter's WWE Championship. Early in the match, Hardy performed a baseball slide on Orton, who hit head-first into the barricade outside due to the impact. Knowing he couldn't win the WWE Championship via a count-out victory, Hardy brought the knocked-out Orton into the ring. Later, Orton took advantage in the match, as he applied a body scissors on Hardy, followed by a choke hold. Some of the other main highlights of the match were Hardy performing a whisper in the wind on Orton that hit him on the head. And, later hitting a moonsault from the top rope to Orton outside the ring. When Hardy brought Orton back in the ring and tried to deliver a twist of fate, Orton suddenly reversed it into an RKO and pinned Hardy to retain his WWE title. The main event was the Royal Rumble match. The first 2 superstars who began the match were Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, where they remained in the match for a little over 30 minutes. During the match, Michaels eliminated Shelton Benjamin for the third consecutive Royal Rumble match. The ninth entrant, Hornswoggle, was the smallest wrestler to ever compete in the Rumble match, and eliminate another superstar. He remained hidden under the ring throughout the match. He would however assist in eliminating The Miz. As he did this, Mark Henry and Big Daddy V grabbed Hornswoggle. As they prepared to throw him over the top rope, Finlay illegally entered the match, as he was not due to enter the match yet, and hit Henry and Big Daddy V with a Schiller. He then left alongside Hornswoggle, and it was later announced that Finlay was disqualified for using the Schiller, and Hornswoggle was eliminated. The 26th entry, Chavo Guerrero, was the first world champion wrestler to compete in the Royal Rumble match since 1990, when Hulk Hogan won the match. Triple H, the 29th entrant, dominated as he entered the match, eliminating Big Daddy V, Batista, Mick Foley, and Kane. This was Kane's 10th consecutive Royal Rumble match, which is a record. The turn of the Royal Rumble match came when John Cena, who was originally scheduled to be sidelined with a torn pectoral muscle until later in the year, entered the match as the 30th entrant, making his triumphant return. He set a record for the shortest time that the eventual winner spent in the Rumble match. He spent 8:28 in the ring, passing Brock Lesnar's record of 8:59. He ended up squaring off with Triple H, as the final 2 men left in the match. Triple H would attempt to pedigree Cena, but Cena would counter it into an feud that saw him throw Triple H over the top rope, thus winning the Royal Rumble match and a World Championship match at WrestleMania XXIV. Aftermath. The next night on Raw, John Cena said that he did not want to wait until WrestleMania XXIV to face Randy Orton. The two agreed to face each other at No Way Out for the WWE Championship. In the match, Cena won after Orton intentionally got himself disqualified. As a result, Orton retained the title. At No Way Out, Triple H won Raw's Elimination Chamber match by last pinning Jeff Hardy after a pedigree on a steel chair, earning the right to face Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania XXIV. At WrestleMania XXIV, Randy Orton retained the WWE Championship against Triple H and John Cena in a triple threat match. Rey Mysterio received a rematch against Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship at No Way Out. Edge defeated Mysterio, who had suffered a biceps injury prior to the match. The Undertaker also won SmackDown's Elimination Chamber by pinning Batista last after a Tombstone Piledriver and earned the right to face Edge at WrestleMania XXIV. The Undertaker won the World Heavyweight title from Edge at WrestleMania XXIV via submission using the gogoplata submissive choke. The Ric Flair retirement storyline continued as Flair defeated Montel Vontavious Porter that same week on SmackDown in a rematch, which he won by disqualification. He then faced Mr. Kennedy at No Way Out, defeating Kennedy to further extend his wrestling career. At WrestleMania XXIV, Flair lost to Shawn Michaels, ending Flair's career. Results Royal Rumble entrances and eliminations equals, red AA and Raw indicates a Raw superstar, blue AA and SD indicates a SmackDown superstar, purple AA and ECW indicates an ECW superstar, and beige AA and legend indicates a special guest entrant. Hornswoggle spent most of the match under the ring. After he entered the ring, Big Daddy V and Henry started to double-team him. Finlay, who was supposed to be the next scheduled entrant, came out early and attacked them both with his Shilla and was immediately disqualified. He left the ring with Hornswoggle, who left through the ropes and never returned. It was then explained later that Finlay was actually disqualified for jumping the gun, and failing to wait for his entry number to be called. See also: List of WWE pay-per-view events, Royal Rumble. References. External links, official website.